So one of those is quote unquote correct, and one of those is apparently also correct.
And that's been the last 5 minutes of our life.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, presented by CinemaSins.
Welcome to Behind the Sins, a weekly look at everything going on inside the world of CinemaSins. I'm Aaron Dicer, and I'm joined as always by Jonathan Watkins.
Hello, hello.
And Nate Hughes.
Watching Billie Eilish on YouTube.
We write for CinemaSins and TV Sins and do various other things inside the CinemaSins universe as well. Billie Eilish, not on the show today, but some reason today has a video of Billie up.
I went to the trending page just, like one does when the show starts.
Yeah, as one does when you're supposed to be doing a job. Yes, of course.
And I was just looking at what was trending, and number one is Billie Eilish and Rosalia. I don't know if I'm saying that name correctly. Mm-hmm. 9 million views since yesterday.
Well, it's a new video.
It's a new music video.
We might be talking about that soon then.
I have to say, I'm really hoping you do, because I'm talking about bibs. I'm talking about a lot of stuff glued to fingernails. I mean,
of course.
There's got to be some sinning material in here somewhere.
If you don't have bibs and a lot of stuff glued to fingernails in your life, what are you doing?
What are you even doing?
What are you even doing? What are you even doing? We are in a new era of, let's say, leadership in the country. We're in.
Yeah.
And I think technically last week's episode was too, but we didn't record.
We didn't know.
In that era. So
we didn't know. It didn't count.
not that we often talk about that stuff, but it was one of those interesting air shifts. Like just the entire atmosphere changed for a lot of people. And I don't know. You could just feel it. And it was one of those interesting things. I don't know. I didn't feel it was like something I could ignore.
Sorry.
In fact, that song just was playing on a loop.
The song. I'm just kidding.
The drum solo impersonation is the best.
That was the best part.
I'm just picturing little Danae watching Miami Vice and being like, this song is really cool.
I don't remember the first time I heard that song, but I did love watching the YouTube video of the two guys reacting to it.
Oh, yeah.
That's good.
That's fun. That's fun stuff.
It's they're like, he saved the beat drop until the song was halfway over.
Do you remember their name? I'd like to send people there, because that is a really fun video. Yeah. Do you remember the name of that channel? Okay. But yeah, so Phil Collins. That's what I was talking about. Love Phil Collins.
Twins the New Trend, I believe is what their name is. YouTube channel Twins the New Trend. Yeah. Yep.
Twins the New Trend reaction to In the Air Tonight. It's
a good one.
That is a
so
full visual metaphor for how many people have reacted the last week.
I just like that they're younger too. The idea that just discovering something, and being like, oh, that's actually really cool. Yeah.
No, we all have that, right? Like that thing where the world didn't exist before we were born, because it literally didn't for us. And so the idea of things before us, discovering those things, it has to be organically different for us than somebody who lived through them. That's just facts, And so, it's fun
It's just facts, everybody.
to see how that happens.
Yeah, so. I like when I'll be listening to stuff in the car. My daughter will be playing on her phone. I'll be like, hey, by the way, sweetie, this was one of my favorite songs as a kid. And she's like, oh, no, that's terrible. And then she'll just go back to doing what she's doing.
Oh, I guess that means I hate it.
I think one of the greatest things I did movie-wise, under the idea of protecting my children's mental state as they grow up, offering movies that they can see at certain ages. Under that idea, what I accidentally did was got them really interested in older movies, because every birthday they had a new folder that they could watch of movies.
I remember you telling me about this, yeah.
And so
that's very cool.
What kind of happened was they were like, oh, here's my new movies I get to watch. And some of them were older and some of them were, newer. And so, yeah, it was kind of an accidental thing that got my kids into movies a little more. So that was
my
kind of fun.
daughter's just more of a TV show person, which is fine. And she'll ask me about movies sometimes, and then but I don't obviously don't push any. I didn't think of anything as creative as that. That would have been cool. But she has recently really wanted to watch The Meg. I don't know where that came from. That movie came out like 3 or 4 years ago.
As long as
and I
Danae's
guess
not
some
around.
of her friends watch it or something. And but what's funny is I don't mind her watching it, like, as I recorded it off regular television, so it wasn't quite as violent. And but she still hasn't watched it, and my wife is like leery of her watching it because my wife is scared. My wife thinks that because I watched Jaws as a kid, that's why I'm scared to go in the ocean. That is not why I'm scared to go in the ocean, by the way. But my wife is just determined that's what it is. So she's scared if she shows our daughter a shark movie. But it's like The Meg. But I'm like, but this is like a prehistoric thing that it's fake, right? So I don't know.
Yeah.
But
is it hot in here?
We're having
we need to move
debate.
on. We need to get into it, guys. We need to get into
sorry.
it. No.
It's okay.
No,
I'm distracting myself with other things.
I wasn't given like details though. I was just
her brain's doing all the work for you.
I'm just letting you know it is starting.
I'm so sorry.
Hey guys, let's move into the SinSide Scoop.
I've never been so excited to start the show in my life.
What's he building in there?
I've got a secret. Pay no attention to that man behind the curtain.
This is a true story.
We're going to take a look at the videos from the week, the process of sinning them, how we felt about the stuff we're sinning in general, kicking it off with commercial sins. Peloton, the gift that gives back.
Peloton. Can I just go on a little bit of a rampage real quick?
Sure, I'll just say first that this is an Atkinson script.
Yeah. So there's one sin that the sin that starts it off. I'm so glad. No, wait. That's not that sin. It's the second sin that I was going to reference, which is also I'm going to document my transformation from 110-pound hottie only if you turn the lights off to a svelte 107 where even under good lighting, I'll be passably attractive. I loved that so much. I mean, it's super okay for anyone to want to get fit. Let's just say that.
Sure.
There's a person I know, a family member of ours who is a recent mom, and she's beautiful. And she's obsessed with getting, her body into a different shape again. And so she is on this massive health kick. And she talks about it a lot on her Instagram. And, she's really, really driven. And she'll post these before and after pictures. And she looks to me exactly the same. But what's different is her mental health. And that's great. And I love that. So that's great.
Well,
I'm super okay with that.
There might be something shifted somewhere we can't see, even if it's psychological.
But I am so pissed at YouTube in general right now. I mean, it's not really YouTube's fault. I mean, they got to make their money somehow. I am getting so many ads for the stupid fucking game that is all about shaving your body hair, fixing your hair, and putting on better clothes because your boyfriend just showed up.
Yeah.
It is every single ad. And I don't know why. I'm associating this with like a Peloton thing, right? Where it's just this sort of idea of like, you have to be a certain shape. Now, being healthy, I'm not talking about being healthy. I'm not talking about eating healthy or, making sure our body has what it needs. That's a different conversation and incredibly valid. I'm talking about like this sort of like push the standard to look a certain way to be healthy or to be beautiful. And so that in conjunction with the Peloton ad today, I literally was like, I just was so pissed, and you can tell because I'm really passionate right now. Like my hands are flailing around. If you could see me, I'm just my arms are just flailing.
She's Kermit
everywhere.
at the beginning of the Muppet Show right now. She's Kermiting all over the place.
I know. I mean, you guys can see my reaction based on my mouth right now. So,
thanks, Wilson. I love that this is an audio
I'm making it pretty
podcast.
clear how I feel. So,
all right,
you guys
all right.
can't see it. That's your fault.
No, listen,
my
listen,
God.
Danae. I am thrilled anytime we want to go down this road because it's one of my things, one of my pet peeves as well. I will say the same thing about this that I say about makeup, that I say about any appearance-based effort. If it is something you are doing because it makes you feel better, makes your mental health better, in something that you want. I want to look a certain way. I want to put this kind of makeup on. I am so for
That's
it.
fine.
You do.
I'm not talking about that, though.
Right, exactly. But if it is a pressure that you are feeling from someone in your life, from ads, from a stupid game, whatever the case may be, that's where it becomes unhealtzy.
What is the game? What
I
is
know
the
you guys
game?
have probably seen it, but this ad
like
on YouTube,
Mystery Date?
It is
What is
this
it?
little avatar, like this little cartoon avatar of a woman who has like a receding hairline, literally just like dark teeth and just funk on her face, a beard, a mustache, big patches of like fur in her arms.
I've not seen this.
With like just drippy goo coming down, like clothes that haven't been washed. I mean, she looks like she's been through a sewer and then like a scissor factory and like all this crazy stuff. And then she like went through it. Like, it was just, it's awful. And then the thing is,
no, it is awful, but it's just so ridiculous. It's like
the ad it goes ding dong. Oh no, my boyfriend's here. Help! And then you start pressing on what you want to change about her, fixing her eyebrows, fixing her hair, shaving off her armpit. It even has one where they wax the armpit hair, and she's like, "Ooh, that hurts so bad!" You know, like just it's So today,
did she say Kelly Clarkson?
Kelly Clarkson. So today, I decided to tell YouTube I don't want to see this ad anymore because I'm obviously incredibly triggered by it. And when it asked me why I didn't want to, and I said it was an inappropriate content.
I signed up for after air. I signed up for. I got an offer for, which I'm sure everybody is, but I did the free month of no ads, the YouTube Premium.
Yeah, YouTube Premium.
I'm probably just going to keep paying for that because
I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Well, and my daughter watches so much YouTube and she loves it, so it's. I mean, even if it's just for her, it's worth the $11.
I'll also tell you, it's better for us too. On the other side of like how ads work for us. Yeah, it's better for you to be on YouTube Premium than watch the ads. So
you're the reason we have a job. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's right.
Well, Aaron started it, so anyway. I mean, not Aaron didn't start it. He's not like
that's
the first.
Right. That was the very first YouTube Premium subscriber.
Hey, real quick, can I say though about exercise equipment? I would never ever buy my wife exercise equipment unless, and even if, like I told her this once, even if she said she wanted something, I want that in writing. I want her to sign it.
At that point,
or just don't get it for Christmas and get it for her another reason, and then save the Christmas sweet spot for something else. I don't know.
I had a friend. His wife kept talking about. We were when Wii Fit was the thing.
Yeah,
and,
I did Wii Fit.
I mean, he meant nothing by this. She just kept talking about that'd be a really cool thing for them to have, and so he got that for Christmas. And she was like, "You did not just give me this," and I was like, "Oh." That's a good advice. I'm gonna keep that in mind. Even if you don't, he didn't mean anything by it.
Of course, yeah.
It was funny.
But still, I mean, it's just such an interesting, it's just such an interesting thing to purchase, or like cleaning gear, vacuums. It can just send an unexpected message.
I know you're very passionate, Danae, and that is fine. And I was happy to let you continue to rant, but I didn't quite get to finish my thought about this topic, which is no. It's not you, Jonathan. It's Danae.
No, it's all about
it's all my fault.
Go ahead.
Sorry about that.
I think Aaron should speak on the problems with women. I think he should definitely be
yes.
one.
This is always the trouble I get myself into, and that's why I started with the you do you part. Because what bothers me is the cultural pressure part, the significant other pressure part, the unhealthy of those kind of things, and also the unhealthiness of just thinking that a certain type of body, a certain type of look is objectively more attractive than another type. That's just not true. That is
just not true.
There is a cultural acceptance that changes those things, but you can see through the ages how body shape attractiveness has changed based on culture. You can see how hair attractiveness has changed. If you look at a hairy armpit on a woman and go, ooh, gross, I get it. There's a cultural stigma to it, but that is not objectively less attractive than a shaved armpit. And so that's my thing is there's not an objectivity to this. It is all subjective. And, if for me personally, the no makeup look is more attractive than having makeup on. That doesn't mean you shouldn't wear makeup because that's me. You do you. But I'm just saying that the whole idea that something is objectively better looking than something else, which is a lot of what the cosmetics industry is based on, is really frustrating to me. So anyhow, that's where I was going with that.
Aaron, like if his wife puts makeup on, I'm just picturing Aaron going, sweetie, you look beautiful. However, I don't want you to think I just think you look beautiful because you're wearing makeup, because you're even more beautiful when you don't have makeup on. However, I'm not saying you shouldn't have makeup on because that's a you thing.
Do you have microphones in our home?
Hold on a second. Hold on. Now, Control-C, Control-V. Every morning this happens at the breakfast table. It's their daily conversation.
Anyhow, that's what I was trying to get off my chest.
I love that you rant about this stuff, Aaron.
I do too, man. It's awesome.
I think it's worth having a conversation about. And on my Instagram, my Danae Says Instagram, I only follow body positive like sources, and I have posted many that are just like different women sitting and their skin is doing various things like skin does, and they're brave enough to take a photo of themselves and post it and get all of the internet hate, but to promote body positivity. And I'll like retweet or not retweet, I'll re-IG all that stuff. And I continue every single time I do it. I get probably a half a dozen or more personal messages. Thank you for posting this. Thank you for posting this. So it's just, it needs to be had. And there's a trend right now that one of the influencers is posting about for dark circles under the eyes. And I am here for that one. Yeah, let's bring it. Like, it's literally a trend where they take like a darker kind of pen and they just purposely marking it under their eyes and blending it into their makeup after their makeup is done. And I'm like, I'm here for that one. So
yeah,
it's fun. It's fun. It's
to normalize the idea that your eyes are inset and there's going to be shadows. Yeah, that's a great idea. Normalize it. Like,
yep.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I know we're supposed to be talking about the commercial sins. Let's get back to that. But I had to go off in this side rant
great.
because
that's all we needed to say about Peloton.
This one ended up accidentally triggering it. So
this was a really funny video.
It really is.
God.
Let's get into it.
Well,
it's
Chris,
so funny.
I think Chris said something about it, didn't he?
Oh, yeah. Let me go grab his comment.
Because I know he mentions the popularity of it. I don't know that I had seen this before. I got to be honest.
It blew up. When this commercial came out, people went crazy.
I don't remember that.
I don't remember that either.
Oh, I do.
If I had seen it, I just don't remember it. So
Rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Chris says, the Peloton ad is legendary. I remember seeing it for a few weeks before Twitter found it and started comparing it to a Black Mirror episode. But the main issue with this ad is that this woman who is already svelte and gorgeous feels the need to document her year-long, quote-unquote, journey on the bike for her husband as some sort of pseudo-gift back to him the next Christmas. Mm-hmm. The challenge here was to make sure we're making jokes that weren't part of the regular Twitter cycle. There was going to be a little overlap, but I intended for the script to be a little zanier than usual, hence the sin about the bike becoming sentient and starting its own Russian bot operation. Also, the absurd idea that because their house had to have burned down from last year's haphazard Christmas tree placement next to the fireplace, that they built an exact replica of their house by the next year, which I loved those.
Yeah, great stuff. Jonathan, did you have others that you wanted to mention?
Yeah, you guys froze a little bit during that, so if I repeat some, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I just like hashtag Pelosi knew.
Yeah.
And then I've heard women say this about their first rides on the internet. You have to pay for the longer videos. I thought was very funny. So,
Danae, what about you?
I already mentioned one of my favorites, but then the starter, yeah, babe, it's been 3 years. It's time to take off that unsightly baby weight. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. I liked, so thanks, husband, for the gift of Final Cut Pro, not seen in this ad. I thought that was a good observation. As all of you know, whenever the Peloton isn't in the frame, it gets very angry and jealous.
I like that the narrator made the Peloton like a sentient being, which I know Chris said that too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Let's move on to TV Sins, Rick and Morty, Close Rick Counters of the Rick Kind, Hughes Watkins script. This was Janae and Jonathan. I don't know that, we've done so many Rick and Morty episodes.
I know. Hey, show's good.
The show's great. And this episode is wonderful. And it's really funny.
This one is really funny.
I was really grateful, as I always am, to have some help because I was the lead on this one, which the pressure is on a bit more when you're the lead. It kind of feels like you're supposed to know what, one, you're doing. Two, maybe you're supposed to know something more about the content just in case you just catch stuff. Like the responsibility to me feels more intense. And I don't remember all the things you guys have said about Rick and Morty. And
I don't either.
I was so grateful for all of the assistance because I was sinning portals at one point in time, which I think is the most sinnable part of this episode. And thankfully, it was mentioned that we've done that before. So just making sure to find a new angle on that stuff so that it doesn't seem too repetitive. Because it has been some time since I think we've gone into that. Yeah, and I did
remember that one because I think I had written a sin about it in another episode. But no, I have that problem too. I'm always like, God damn it, did we already send this? And sometimes I think we probably have done that and not realized it. And I don't think it matters, but...
at some point you just turn it into Portal gives Rick exactly what he needs cliche, and you just kind of go from there. Because it is one of those things. I definitely
went like pew gun angle on it for this one because it was kind of like my first time. It was my first time as a viewer to start to question the Portal aspect of Rick and Morty.
And it's ridiculous in this episode.
In this episode, it really gets a little Looney Tunes. I think that's probably the part that drives me the most crazy. I don't mind the introduction of the Citadel of Ricks and, this whole kind of reality where they've all gathered together, and have this whole community of Ricks. I don't mind that stuff because I just find that to be, a very Rick and Morty-esque sort of like side quest or parallel thing going on. But the Portal thing, I just have so many questions because he pew-pews so many in a row that all do various things. The convenience timing of tentacles and bees, that's just a movie, that's just a show, that's what happens, and that's funny or whatever.
Yeah.
But how does the freaking gun work?
Right.
Because he's not switching any dials, so it has to be mental. And then very clearly in this chase, their portal closes and another portal opens, and then the people who are chasing come through. So how are they... And then they say they're not tracking him. So how are they following our Rick and Morty through all these shenanigans worlds if these portals are closing? Like what is that like? Now, obviously the writers do not give a flip about any of that stuff because we're not supposed to. We're just supposed to suspend it. But it does make it very cinnable. It was an easy thing to kind of reach for on this episode.
You should call it a yada yada gun instead of a portal gun.
It's just like Star Trek phasers, though. It's like, how do you set a phaser to stun? Like, that doesn't even make any goddamn sense.
That's a really great point that I've never thought of. Because
Aaron's being an expert on phasers.
Yeah, I know how phasers
think
work.
About it. Like, every alien is made differently. How does it automatically know what stun is for different species?
Well, the same way it knows what language they're speaking and translates it into English.
That's a big thing in movies too, like tranquilizers, because different people would take different. Like Aaron would take a different amount of tranquilizing probably than I would, just because I'm shorter and our body mass. My
severe
different.
Drug use has made me immune to them.
Well, and it's just like people, people are more easily affected by alcohol than others. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
So you have to factor things like that in, and but movies are just like here, let me give you a shot, and it knocks the knocks.
And listen, like I mentioned in Mandalorian, like the toilets is the biggest part of this. Every alien in one bathroom, like you don't know how aliens excrete.
I kind of wish I had never had that image in my mind. But...
You're welcome.
I regret never seeing how we never see the Mandalorian clean the inside of his helmet.
Yeah, hey, you know what? There'll probably be another season. There will be another season someday. You'll have the chance.
Because that to me is probably more cinnable. He has to take it off at least private time and just clean it out, right? Like it's just not.
He does take it off because there was one episode where he was eating and like we
out
saw
of his helmet.
No, that's what I'm saying. When he eats, he takes his helmet off, but he just does it when he's in the room by himself. Because I think they showed that in an episode. We didn't see his face; it was from the other perspective. But
in between sneezes, he needs to clean. But anyways, back to Rick and Morty.
And that's how much we've talked about Rick and Morty that we'd rather talk about the Mandalorian.
He's got to trim the mustache.
That's true. That's right.
I'll get us into the video since I didn't write on it. First of all, whoever wrote also coin collections, how dare you? How dare you?
I don't feel bad about that at all.
Based on the fact that we only see asses and no hands, what is the purpose of the giant rolls of toilet paper? Who would even use them? And how are the rear ends so clean if the ground around them is covered in feces? These are all wonderful points that I'm sure Jonathan is very excited that we continue to bring up.
No, I wrote it, so it's my fault.
Surprise! That was one of my favorite ones.
That's so good.
One of the ones I wrote down.
So they're eating phones? Just because they went to a different dimension does not mean they have different digestive systems. Really, really great observation. Show now asks us to believe that the captive Mortys have had enough time to form a cult, mine this cave prison for the resources to create cloaks, printed propaganda, and precise razors to shave their heads. Another great observation. And then possibly my favorite, just because I'm a simple man, owning a Life is Rough poster that shows the golf ball on the green and barely any rough. Which is similar to owning a Hanging Tough poster where the cat's just sitting on the branch. How is this even a...
That's why I'm glad we have two writers, because I never noticed that poster. So thankfully Danae did.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so many of these were yours, though. I loved a couple of other ones that I love that you wrote was the Ricktastic concept. Whenever one of the Ricks is trying to sell like Morty swag or whatever, and you point out how is there even a deal here when you can clearly see that they're like handcuffed and being escorted? You had so many good ones on this one. But actually, I mentioned in the other ones that were in my list in our conversation.
Jonathan, what about you?
The Taft Cap shaming was kind of fun just because we went back and forth on that one, probably more than we have on just
Which
about
one?
anything.
The artist formerly known as Prince.
Shaming, the artist formerly known as Prince.
Oh, yeah. How do you pronounce the name? I just was not understanding the concept of what you were saying. Like,
no, couldn't. Well, and I couldn't decide which sounded better. So Aaron just was like, "I'm just going to say it like this."
I'm just going to do it, guys.
Listen,
it's been 7 days.
Narrator
Let's just
prerogative.
move on.
I'm shutting this down.
Onto the portal pandemonium. I just thought was a nice turn of phrase. Cliff hookers, very fun. And and Danae sending the fruit bowl on the bottom shelf.
Who puts a fruit bowl on the bottom shelf?
Indeed, who does?
These outtakes were fun. That remember the Titans outtake like stuck with me forever. Just Morty up there and that whole "you blitz all night." Just absolutely killed me.
Let's move on to Cobra Kai. We send the pilot of Cobra Kai with the new season coming out on Netflix. Ace Degenerate is the name of the pilot. This was a Dicer Watkins script. Jonathan and I writing on this one. Let's talk about the show. Hey, here's a new show to talk about, guys. We haven't talked about this show.
Although we did a couple weeks ago because you had it in your Beyond the Sins.
Oh, that's true. I guess we'll go into the sins then.
No. I will say this was the first time I ever watched it. I'd been meaning to. Like, it wasn't like I was avoiding it. It's just there's a lot of stuff out there to watch, right? And it was on YouTube for the longest time, and I didn't have access to it because it was on YouTube Premium.
Yeah.
Which, only Aaron was a subscriber to.
Actually, it was on YouTube Red. It was different than Premium.
Yeah, whatever
They're
they
two
called
different services. Like the no ads
Red
was
doesn't
different.
exist anymore, right?
Correct, because they're not doing original content as much anymore. So yeah.
So now it's just premium, and then you can also get like the the cable package or whatever,
right?
If you want to do that.
Right.
But anyway, so I never saw it. Then it came to Netflix, and I just hadn't gotten around to it yet. I love the pilot. I mean, it had pilot-y things in it. Like there were things they had to obviously throw in there for that's just always kind of annoying about pilots, but or most pilots. But I was really taken aback with Zapka.
By how good he is?
I wasn't prepared for him to actually be giving this good of a performance, and I'm sure it only gets better. Yeah. And then I love the not the role reversal, but I like and Aaron wrote that great where we removed that sin about the way they present his character. Like I don't know how it's just interesting the way they structure his character. Maybe he's not really the villain, but he is still kind of an asshole, and it's just I don't know, it's fascinating.
Not even kinda. He's
absolutely
that's true.
Is. Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, definitely is.
It's and they go over the top with it, but that's the interesting thing. The interesting redemption they're doing with that, is to bring that character back. Yeah, I love the show. I did talk about it on Beyond the Sins. Danae, what's your familiarity with the Karate Kid movies and the show and all that?
I remember seeing some Karate Kid. I remember my friends doing the crane kick,
of course,
all the time.
Yeah,
for a little while there.
Yeah, we were just riding skateboards and doing crane kicks in the mid-80s.
That's all we did.
That's all we were doing.
And that's all I remember, really. Yeah. I don't. Watching the flashbacks of Cobra Kai, I was like, oh, okay. I'm like Mr. Miyagi. Remember that?
Yeah.
I remember being really upset about bonsai trees, but don't remember why. So anyway. There was a craze. There was like this thing, and I remember being aware of it, but not really like, oh, I had a crush on this guy or anything like that. I think I don't really even remember what age I was when I watched it the first time, but I remember it being on, and I remember also my mom and dad liking it. that it was one that they enjoyed watching. So I remember it being on multiple times. Maybe it was on TV. I don't remember exactly.
I took karate
Sure
because of this movie. I took karate through most of the late 80s and early 90s. Almost 100% because of this movie.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know that I'm interested in Cobra Kai though.
I wouldn't think so. When I talked about it, I mentioned one of the things that's so great about it is that canon unification thing. The idea that if you're familiar with the world, it does such a great job at bringing parts of that world into a fresh new environment. And so if you're not super familiar with the Karate Kid movies, a lot of the nostalgia is going to be missed. A lot of that canon unification stuff is going to be missed. So I think there's still something fun here, but yeah.
But
yeah,
also,
I've heard little things here and there where they bring stuff back, like that. Even like the sequels get intertangled in, which is interesting.
Yeah, it's really fun.
but also, a grown man beating up children is just never going to sit with me.
Fair enough.
Well, we said that.
I'm glad you did.
That's in the original Karate Kid movies too. Grown men beating up children.
Well, that's true.
happens
I mean,
quite a
that's
bit.
the thing. I mean, Mr. Miyagi beats up kids,
Sure does.
right? Because
Yep.
he's protecting Daniel.
Sure
I mean,
does.
it's I can't
but
imagine
it's
that's
okay
ever
if
an
it's
option.
Mr. Miyagi.
That's right.
Yeah,
He
exactly.
gets a pass. Miyagi gets a pass.
No, I remember you saying this last week about putting it on its head, like who is the hero here and who is the villain, and
Right.
just going back in. And I do think that that's an interesting concept. And if I had room in my brain to adventure into Cobra Kai, that's probably something that I would enjoy as well.
Well, yeah, because I think it's interesting because the Karate Kid, the movie, is very black and white, right?
Yeah.
Like it's very caricatures. Like this is the
heroes
villain,
and villains. Yeah,
this is the good guy. I think they even don't they even wear like black karate gis?
sure. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So, it's very that's interesting with this. Whereas, I think just filmmaking in general and storytelling in general has, taken on that role that not everything is black and white. There's a lot of gray, and they're doing that with this, and which is really interesting to me. I'm definitely going to keep watching. I don't know when I'm going to get back to it, but
Yeah, highly
it'll
recommend
happen.
it. Danae, what were some of your favorites from the video?
Cool. This is one of those present day shows. I really enjoyed that one.
It's one of my pet peeves. I'm like, you can't just say present day because that depends on when I'm watching it.
I can't wait to watch it. 2067.
It is as many scripts as we've written together. I've never thought about that until Aaron wrote that sin about Coco.
Yeah.
In this script. I was like, that's a very good point. Like,
Yeah, man,
like
you
the
can't
sin
say
about-
present day. It's not okay.
I like the sin about pizza from a gas station. Like it's the least of your concerns if you're getting pizza from a gas station. I do not agree.
No, there's some great gas station pizza.
There's some good gas station
Casey's
pizza.
is great. Yeah.
there's not here that I'm aware of.
If I ever saw somebody pull out my pizza and palm it,
That was
not
so
even
gross.
just not
It was
even
so
just
gross.
tip it, but like palm it, I would change my mind. I guess unless I was incredibly desperate to eat, and then I would eat it.
I
for
did
sure.
see a comment from somebody who was like, if he had mentioned it, you guys would have sent it too. And it was like, yes, welcome to the channel. Thank you. Now you know how it works.
And
Well, I
then
like when he's like digging. I don't, because we don't show that but when he asks for a plate and you can hear him like digging through trash to try to find the plate.
and then that's gastroenteritis.
Yeah.
Yep.
Enjoyed all of those.
Nice.
Well done. Fun script.
Jonathan, what about you?
Yeah, I liked the one where Aaron ended it with, seems like a worthy cause. Where do I send my check? Which I didn't even get that one at first. For some reason, it wasn't registering with me because I was kind of like...
I just have this pet peeve with, especially youth athletics that emphasize, like persevering over injury. It's like, get back in there and play.
Yeah, that's what I misunderstood. I was thinking you were just knocking like sports in general.
No.
Yeah,
No.
and then you were talking about the injuries. I was like,
Right.
that makes that was the part I missed. Wait, is it Christmas?
It's present day, not present day. Yeah.
Oh my God! And then the encore. Who asked if you have encore? Aaron and I both had sins about that.
Of course we
'cause
did.
It was just like you got encore. It was just encore, like HBO or
Right,
even like
right.
Stars encore. Anyways.
I really liked being surprised this approach doesn't work. It's like-
With the woman.
Yeah. I had to mention the abysmal choice of standing still for your Pepto shower.
Yes, that was great.
Let's see. We mentioned that one. The advice my big brother of America gave me as a kid somehow makes its way into this episode. His name was Carl, which I would like to point out for no particular reason is still a better name than Grogu.
I like that we're kind of making that a running joke.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, it's great when stuff bleeds over. I love that kind of stuff. So, yeah, lots of fun doing Cobra Kai. Really enjoyed doing it. Let's move on to music video sins. Olivia Rodrigo, Driver's License. Is the name of the song. And this is a depressing and toxic song. I hate this song. This song is everything that is wrong about teenage relationships and the emphasis that's put on them. It's just, I really don't like this song. Sounds fine.
But she's got the character in the song would have a teenager's perspective on things, which it's ridiculous when you think back to the things that bothered you when you were a teenager.
Oh, don't get me wrong.
You're just like, holy hell.
I'm not saying that there's not realism in having a hard time getting over a relationship.
No, I know.
What I'm saying is this song emphasizes the idea of stalking that person after the relationship, the idea of not letting it go to a point that your friends are sick of you talking about it and you're not getting
Well, now my question is just going to sound stupid when you bring up that stuff.
Why?
I love this in juxtaposition to what Barrett had to say.
Right. Yes. Yes. Please.
He really. By the way, I do not like the song. I will say that, but.
So depressing, but go ahead. Yes.
He says, I kind of love Driver's License.
There you go.
It gets better. Even though it's a little over dramatic and has a decapitalized title. Anyone that discounts teenage heartache is a big old cockhole.
Well, good thing I didn't discount it. Good thing that's not what I was saying.
Since that may be the worst heartache. Obviously, this lady cannot drive, though, and that lowercase license should be rescinded immediately. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I have been known to turn the song up in my car and sing along at the top of my lungs.
That's a little weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just I don't know. That's a little weird.
I remember teenage heartache.
Of course.
It's terrible.
Me too.
I was grown up always being asked, who are you dating? Who's your boyfriend?
Which that's
who
a
are
whole
you going
other
to marry?
topic that
who
you
do
don't
you
want
love?
me to get on to.
Like, this is just how I was raised. It was always a question from every adult in my life and friend. So, of course, it was something I was hyper obsessed with. Like, who am I dating? Who am I with? And so when I wasn't with someone that I had fallen in love with, it was horrible. And so I can relate to the feelings of it being the end of the literal world. So I found this song to be something that was relatable to me. And I wish it wasn't that way. I wish that, like, one of my favorite sins in the video was just teenagers, but it was the lead-in was, how could I ever love someone else? And the sin is teenagers. And I laughed at that because there was no way for me to relate to that when I was a teenager. But I mean, I've loved many times since since my first love that I had that broke up with me and broke my heart. And like, it was all I talked about. It was all I was interested in.
I mean,
so
can you imagine marrying your high school sweetheart? How lame is that?
Yeah, who would ever do that?
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah, we met in 7th grade.
Middle school sweetheart. That's okay.
No, we weren't technically "quote unquote" sweethearts until I'm
obviously kidding,
sophomore, junior year in high school.
I'm glad I didn't marry mine, and I hope she doesn't listen to this show. But I doubt she does.
Another sin that's I think was it Happy Feet? That's like Wikipedia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like now that I have my Wikipedia, membership, and I am aware of how toxic all of that is. Yeah, the song is uncomfortable to listen to in that regard.
It is.
So
I don't. Maybe that's a thing that adults do more with females because or maybe just I don't know. I never had that question asked to me by an adult.
There's definitely a gender angle
I'm
to
not
it.
surprised by that
Absolutely.
at all.
Yeah,
I'm not
absolutely.
surprised by that at all. But it does happen. Like it's already happening
Which
with
I think
Iris.
maybe another part of why it just irked me so much is the gender aspect of it, is the pining thing. Like it's a thing that irked me about Wonder Woman 1984. That she's just literally Chris pining after this guy. So many years later, and it's just like.
Like that she's devolved into this person that can't let someone go.
Right. Or can't,
Listen, there's something really beautiful about relationships that have that first pop of intensity. Like it's just, it doesn't happen like that every time. And I'm not saying it doesn't ever happen again. I'm just saying that first time that you feel love towards someone where all you want to do is be around them and everything in your future is them and you're willing to just kind of shift everything. It's just, there's something really powerful about that and dangerous about that, which is why I wish it wasn't something that was so predominantly placed in our mentality, at least in my culture that I was raised up in, that was a really important part of who I was, that my identity was based on being with someone. I wish that wouldn't have been put on me, because I would not have ended up with some incredibly toxic people.
Right.
Because it would be a long time before I would realize that I should not continue to just date people because being alone is wrong. Being alone and having some time to figure out your own stuff is actually really powerful. And it helped me to know like what I actually wanted apart from other people. And so but falling into those emotions and when you're a teenager is just, it's already complicated enough.
Well, the idea
and puberty and just
oh my God,
so much trying to figure out what you're going to do for the rest of your life.
It's so much. I was just talking to somebody. Sorry, I was just talking to somebody the other day, and I asked him. I was like, so hey, what's like your goal? Like, what do you want to do with your life later on? Do you know, like, or what's a long-term like dream of yours? And he was saying he didn't know, and I responded, yeah, me either. And there was like relief that I still don't know what I want to do,
Yeah.
Because I'm a ever evolving person and I'm kind of following this journey and life is kind of who you're exposed to and who you're around and all of those things. And so
you're hitting on it. You're getting there, man. There's the idea of dependency, right? The idea of independency and dependency, and the seed of codependency is what is underneath this song. The idea that without a significant other, I don't know how to survive. Now, I understand it's different here because you're talking about the specific significant other that you're mourning, that you're missing. That's a little different, but it starts with that seed of dependency. That seed of dependency can go towards what you do in life, just like you just said. The idea of, I need to have a job to define me. I need to have, a child to define me. I need to have a marriage to define me. You don't need those things to define you. In fact, that is really, honestly, if I may take it to my favorite movie of last year, that is what I love so much about Soul. Was the overall theme of that movie was what defines you, what gives you value is that you are alive. That's all it takes. Like you're not defined by some sort of weird vocational purpose or, whatever it might be. You're not defined by, who you're in a relationship with. You're defined because you are alive and you are human and you're valuable. And that's all that it takes. So yeah, I love what you're saying. I think that's really, really cool. So,
thanks.
Yeah, let's get into the sins. You want to kick us off, Jonathan?
Sure. Blatant over-ringing, I thought was very funny.
That's right.
I like how also the narrator kept getting on to her about how terrible of a driver she was. That hey man, you're supposed to be at 10 and 2. Come on, you just got your driver's license.
Yep. Had that one too.
I fully expected there to be a sin about the windshield wipers not being on, though.
Oh, I didn't even catch that personally. And then the only other one I had was this chandelier. I was enjoy sins like that.
Let's see. The whole rant about capitalization every time gets me. It just slays me every time.
It's getting more and more elaborate, isn't it?
The fact that he, that the video has all these famous songs uncapitalized just to make a point. It's really fun.
I almost wrote a sin, and then I was like, Barrett's gonna write something, so he's got that whole thing going. So I was like, I'm gonna leave it alone.
Yeah, non-capitalized titles is his present day. It's one of those things, one of those pet peeves. In fact, getting a license in a county that's halfway shut down would be much more interesting avenue for this song take than This Boy Won't Talk to Me Anymore. I just wanted to bring that up because I actually have 2 children getting licenses during a shutdown, and it is not at all interesting. So you are wrong. It is just as boring as you think it would be.
I was just watching it thinking, like, where is she even going to go? Like, why would this be exciting at all? Like, this would be like the worst time to get a license.
Yeah. Scene does not contain an overhead boombox. Also made me laugh. Nice Say Anything reference. Danae, what about you?
The only one you guys didn't mention was Bulbasaur, which was so funny to me. What a great, because his head just looks like a bulb. It was really funny.
All right, let's move into CinemaSins. We'll start with Happy Feet 2, which, by the way, is titled incorrectly on our YouTube channel. It says Happy Feet and the number 2. It is not.
Oh.
It is Happy Feet TWO spelled out because that annoys me.
What do we
Why don't you comment about it, Aaron?
I should totally comment about it. This was a Dicer share script. Barrett and I writing on this one. What do you think about the Happy Feet movies? Were we doing this podcast when we did the first one?
I don't think so.
No, yeah, I thought we were.
Maybe. It's been a while.
I don't think it's been
remember.
that long, has it?
I don't know. I know Barrett and I did the first one too, so I don't know.
This is when I'm turning to you, fan base. Where's our wiki?
That's right.
I know I've seen them both. I don't remember much about them. Like they didn't stick in my head. So, and I didn't rewatch it for this video, but I did. Yeah. But I've been watching the video. There were a few things that I remember Robin Williams.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't remember really particularly liking it. Did George Miller do this one as well?
He sure did, and this is a terrible. Some people in the comments mentioned something I had heard as well. He was asked about doing Happy Feet 3.
Yeah.
And he said, if someone put a gun to my head and said, come up with a story idea for Happy Feet 3, he said, go ahead and pull the trigger.
Oh my God.
He's not interested at all.
He has the most interesting filmography, I think, of just about any director. Like he did the Mad Max movies. He did The Witches of Eastwick. Like, I mean, it's bizarre. But anyways.
This is a horrible sequel. This is a really bad sequel. I mean, it has the same things from the first. I mean, the things that I like, which are the bright colors, songs are always fun. But as far as a story goes, like this is as bad as any Ice Age sequel. Like it's just, there's nothing going on here. So what did Barrett have to say about it? I know he wrote some stuff too.
I love this movie.
That's what he said. Anybody who thinks this movie is a bad sequel.
He's like, I like to watch this movie and listen to Driver's License in the background.
He does start off by saying Happy Feet 2 was actually more interesting than I expected. The animation was dope, capitals, dope.
Sure.
And the voice cast was fine.
Sure.
The problem I have is that nothing fucking happens in this movie. They go from A to B to C, then back to A, and they stay there for the last 45 minutes of the runtime. I thought they were going to at least mention the fact that global warming was fucking up their habitat, but no. Let's dance to Under Pressure instead.
Yeah.
That's all he had to say.
It's horrible.
So this sounds kind of similar to I don't know, maybe there was stuff going on in Secret Life of Pets 2, but Secret Life of Pets 2 was just such a weird movie because it was like they just tied like 3 or 4 episodes of a TV show together. I don't know why that made me think of it.
Right.
But,
yeah. What other movie am I thinking is like that?
Despicable Me 2, actually.
Yes, Despicable Me is exactly what I was thinking of. It's just like, it's like a B plot, C plot, D plot kind of thing. Yeah. Very strange. So I don't really have a lot other to say than I don't like this movie. Has Iris done the Happy Feet movies? Is this something? I mean, she would love cute little animals.
Does she have happy feet?
She does have happy feet, but she's not seen Happy Feet. No, she's on other kicks right now. That's one thing that I struggle with is figuring out what movies to expose her to next, since I haven't seen so many. And I asked my best friend Aaron Dicer if I could borrow his folders.
A friend.
but didn't you say you already got rid of them?
Yeah, I already combined everything.
Yeah. So you're giving me shit about that, but you already deleted them, buddy. So not sure why you're giving me lip.
No, I'm not giving you lip. I'm just saying you could just ask me what are some movies that Iris might like, and I could send you some. Like that's
okay.
That's not a hard
we're
thing.
just gonna stop the podcast and move into a new segment called "Help Me Raise My Kid." But yeah, if you think Happy Feet would be something that's basic enough that she could enjoy, I'm sure she would enjoy it. She obviously animals. Yeah, she's super into animals.
There's some animal peril. So, that's the only thing. I just never know, how much you want to get into that. So they're not.
She's okay. She's okay with peril to a certain degree.
Okay.
She reenacts Mufasa's death with her dad a lot. So she's
working through some stuff.
And she's been watching Over the Moon, and she stops and talks about, why the little girl is sad because her mom dies and stuff like that. So
no, that's good.
She's processing that stuff.
Aaron, are you, just made me think of it because of the penguins. Are you a fan at all of the Penguins of Madagascar movie?
No, for me, it's funny. Like there's some funny stuff in it, but
I feel like I enjoyed that, although I've never revisited it.
It's just like, to me, over and over, I just kept feeling like there's a reason these characters are sidekicks. You can only take so much of them. Those sidekicks become the central characters type movies always suffer from a little bit of, the extra gene, because those sidekicks usually are just so over the top, and to have them be the focus for an entire movie is, I don't know, it's a little much for me.
There's something about just the stupidity of them, and they still like were able to succeed.
Yeah.
Like the way they pulled it off. I don't know. There was just something about it but also when you're taking your kids to a movie, especially at that age, it's almost like if I don't get bored or
that's a win.
Hate myself, that's totally a win.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't quite hate myself after Happy Feet 2, but I certainly didn't enjoy watching it again.
No, I have no like memories of it whatsoever. Yeah. So I doubt I liked it.
Danae, you want to kick us off on the sins on this one?
Sure. Starting off with the bong rip was just the best.
Yeah.
Again, comes from my extensive drug use. I was able to.
So the words after the bong rip were fantastic. Mm-hmm. Did you adjust what the words were after Jeremy delivered the narration, or did he actually try to deliver the wacky words that you wrote?
I should be clear in case you didn't know I was being sarcastic. Obviously, Barrett wrote this one, but yeah.
Okay. Okay.
But
I thought you were just like emulating.
No. So
well, I went in and I read
the fan
that
of
sin.
driver's license.
Yeah. No,
I went in and
go ahead.
No, you.
I was just going to say, yes, I believe he wrote these words and then Jeremy imitated them. I believe that's what happened, if my memory is correct.
That's what my interpretation was as well, because I went in and I read the script. But how impressive is Jeremy's interpretation of delivering those insane words?
Yes, very impressive.
So I would have assumed that it would have been like, just make some weird sounds.
Right, yeah.
And then Jeremy's like, Ziga right. And then they wrote Ziga Burla Badak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But instead, Barrett wrote that out and Jeremy performed it. So that was really fun.
Yeah.
I love the, hey, how long do you estimate these krill can live outside of water? 2 seconds? 3? As long as the LSD trip lasts for the writers? I obviously miss drugs a lot. Anyway. And then the, why didn't I see this before? You're really beautiful. And the lesson, as always, kids, is no doesn't mean no. It just means try harder. And she'll eventually realize that you aren't the douchebag you actually are for pressuring someone after they've expressed clear boundaries. Now go out there and turn those adamant no's into miracle yeses. And in case you can't tell by my sarcasm, you should never do this.
I'm going to guess Aaron wrote that.
You're going to guess correctly. I actually have keeping tabs on that one.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So, yeah.
And then the final one that I wrote down is the lead in was them saying, is this the end? It was like the krill.
Mm-hmm.
And the sin was just, don't tease me, bro. I love that.
Yep. Jonathan, what about you?
Well, keeping with the krill, which I'm surprised I didn't remember that. That seemed like a really weird,
it's my favorite part of the movie.
Side story, though.
I love them as the krill. I thought that was my favorite part of the movie.
So I had why not add a philosophical krill to a kid's penguin movie? And then how much skill to thrill kill a krill?
Yeah.
That was great. They could tell everyone what penguins taste like and that babies taste the best.
Mm-hmm.
And then I liked the simple ones, letter sweaters and cocaine dealers.
Yeah, the letter sweaters was just one of those things. I'm just like, why do the letters have the sweaters? That makes no sense, and they're not even in the right place.
Well, I like the idea that we have like a running sweater thing too, because like in Lethal Weapon we had assassination sweaters. And now we have letter sweaters.
Nice,
so
yeah.
Fun, yeah.
Let's see the idea that you're telling me somebody wouldn't have created Ice Vegas, Gatleisberg, or Brandstartica already. Jeremy gave me a lot of crap for that one, having to pronounce those. But I will say that is the single most strangest thing to me about this sequel is it never addresses the end of the first movie in any way, shape, or form whatsoever. Like the idea that humans saw penguins, the whole point of the end of the last movie is that Mumble saves them because he's doing an actual dance to a song, and they go there and the entire colony can tap dance and sing. If humans discover that, how are they just abandoned, like leaving them in the Antarctica and not like producing some sort of tourist trap or something?
When you've watched enough slasher franchise sequels where like...
Fair enough.
I mean, like, Friday the 13th Part 8, sorry to spoil Friday the 13th Part 8 for you two, because I'm sure you're going to rush out and watch it. Jason goes down in the sewers of New York, and of course, every night, if you guys didn't know this, at midnight, they run toxic waste through the sewers, which turns Jason into a kid. And then, the next, it makes no sense. It's so insane. Like,
nice.
You would... If you ever want to know what taking drugs is like, Aaron, watch the end of Friday the 13th Part 8.
Thank you. I appreciate
and then
that.
at the beginning of the next film, he's just out in the woods, and he's on America's Most Wanted. So,
nice.
Yep. Yeah. So, it is what it
breaks
is.
It breaks you. Watching horror movie franchises then breaks you from kind of that need for any kind of consistency. I appreciate that advice. That's very good advice.
That is true. Well, actually, that did kind of suck, though, because if I ever wanted somebody to explain something to me, like what happened after, it's definitely turning into a kid in the sewers of New York.
Yeah.
Like, I want to know. But anyways, sorry to go out.
You mentioned the existential Krill. I liked I'm pretty sure Warner fished them out of Pete Docter's recycling bin just because of his tendency to do existential cartoons. I have to mention Deus Ex Machina, the Ocean's 500 trillion. I wanted to mention because I looked that up, and that's how many krill they estimate there are in the ocean. 500 trillion.
Crap.
Krill. That is an actual number. So
yes, that is a number.
Thank you.
And they love to watch The Office.
Yes, they do. Every last one of them. And then finally, oh, thank God, their long national nightmare of roughly 22 to 24 hours during which they were well-fed and very comfortable is finally over. Just such a great summary of how pointless this entire movie is. So I wanted to end with that one. All right, let's move on to Batman Assault on Arkham. This was an Atkinson-Watkins script. Chris and Jonathan writing on this one. I've never seen this. I assume Danae hasn't either. So, Jonathan, take it away.
No, I haven't.
I didn't know how many people had seen this. I actually ventured into the comments. My comments actually from this one, but I ventured into the comments on this, and I was actually surprised at how many people they weren't being mean, but not only had seen it, but really liked it. And I didn't like it. Out of the 5 or 6 of these animated DC movies I've done, I think it's probably my least favorite. It's just nothing happens. Like, it's so...
It looks terrible.
It's not. I mean, it's not even terrible. It's just kind of like, okay. Like, it's just a bunch of, it's basically a Suicide Squad movie and not a Batman movie. But at the time, Suicide Squad had not come out in theaters. This was like a year before or something. So I guess they didn't feel comfortable, calling it Suicide Squad. So they made it Batman. But I don't know. I mean, it's not very interesting.
All right, on to the sins then.
It suffers from that crap that all these do, where they have to have every villain.
Yeah.
Even if they're not, important to the story. And the Joker always has to end up in it.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah, it's not good.
What about Chris? What did he have to say?
Chris said, Batman Assault on Arkham is another in a long line of Batman animated movies. Only this time it's not so much a Batman film as it is a Suicide Squad film. It came out before the live action movie, so I think Warner/DC was uncomfortable calling it anything but Batman. For me, the silliest thing about this movie is the plan to break into Arkham. This time, Arkham is not just an asylum, it's a whole island full of facilities, including a hospital, separate penitentiary, mansion, and a morgue. But the way they sneak into Arkham is so unnecessary. Harley Quinn breaks into a doll store, and Batman, of course, is watching, so he grabs her and tells the cops to take her to Arkham. Somewhere in the middle of all that, Deadshot overtakes the cops and steals the car, something he could have done with any cop and any car without Harley breaking into a doll store. And then he continues by saying, and it made total sense why they did that. It's so Batman could later be suspicious of how Harley acted when he captured her, and he'd realize something was going on at Arkham. The movie also does this thing that doesn't make sense from Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, where someone has to change the computer ID database so that the rest of the crew can get into Arkham using their badges. There is no time constraint, so it makes no sense that the characters all try to get into Arkham using their badges before the system is updated. It's also the movie can have that suspenseful moment of, are they going to be able to get in? And it's a waste of time. Watching sex scenes in animated Batman films is hilarious.
Yes. Yes, it is.
In this one, Harley and Deadshot have some PG-13 sex, showing about as much nude cartoon flesh that you can get away with.
And that's the last.
That's the last of his thoughts on this one.
Going back to the way they work Batman into the story, I don't think I've unintentionally laughed so hard in the longest time when Batman says, "That's the Thursday shift." When he like figures out that the wrong workers are there, so that's how he knows they loop the cameras. Oh my God. I mean, it was just... It's like, but that's the thing. People complain. They're like, I want to see Batman be a detective. It's like, well, that's what you're going to see.
There you go. Congratulations. You got what you wished for. You played yourself. Okay, so let's start here. I'll go ahead and go into some sins since the rest of us haven't seen it. But can we start with the lunch conversation? That was a big conversation in the comments, and I was curious about what you guys thought, because
I guess I didn't see that part in the comments. What was it? What were you talking about?
The idea, we sinned the fact that he's like, I'm going to eat my lunch, but it's the middle of the night. And like all the comments are basically like, has nobody ever worked on the third shift? Like,
oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. That does actually factor into my comments. I do remember this now. I just had forgotten. But yeah.
So it was an interesting thing for me. So I want your opinion. Like, do you call it lunch?
No.
If it's at night, but is it based on your schedule or the day's schedule? Because what do you call it then? Do you call it a midnight snack?
I don't know. I've never worked third shift, but I would probably not call it lunch.
Right. So, Danae, what do you think?
Because I would still probably eat lunch. I mean, if I woke up or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. You're sleeping over normal lunchtime.
I don't know.
This is important, Danae. You have to have an opinion.
Eat when you're hungry.
Well, yes, but we have this conversation with the difference between supper and dinner. Like the idea of like what do you call the times you eat, and is it important, you know?
Yeah, because hold on a second, because I mean I'm in the South and I grew up in the South. Supper is what we normally call dinner, right? And dinner would be lunch. Well, if you go by the supper dinner,
my understanding is
I just say lunch and dinner.
Dinner is the evening meal. Supper supper is any meal that is important in value. So you have a Thanksgiving supper, and that can be any time of the day, or we had growing up a Sunday supper, and it was after church. It was like 1:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah, see, it's slang here, at least in my neck of the woods. Supper was slang for what most people call dinner.
Dinner, right.
And then dinner would be lunch, which I never
I've never heard
my family never called it that.
But I find these conversations very valuable and really important, and words mean something, and we should all agree.
I just like, anytime I eat, I just say I'm eating.
That's right. That's right. No, I think at the end of the day, I have to go with it's okay to call it lunch. You know, if you're working the third shift.
It was just a weird thing to say, and
yeah.
It just struck me as odd, and sometimes we send things that strike us as odds.
Can you actually have breakfast for dinner? Because are you really breaking your fast if you've been eating throughout the day and then you have dinner?
How long is a fast? What counts?
What counts? Yeah, how long does it have to be before you're breaking your fast?
Yeah, because or is every meal breakfast?
Right, exactly.
You're having traditional. Well, and then we can get into the whole how do you not feed the gremlins after midnight?
That's right. Every time is after midnight. When does it officially become not after midnight again?
You have to feed them at midnight, right? Like
that's the only way. Yes,
you have 60 seconds to eat.
Listen, guys, I'm telling you, this is why I wanted to have this conversation. It's amazing. Other stuff I really liked. I imagine this riddle was a big hit during the Game of Thrones days, but this is 2014 when nobody realizes Game of Thrones is going to suck yet.
Yeah, I love that one.
I thought that was great. I don't know how he found it. I marked the folder unimportant stuff on my desktop.
Yeah, that was great.
Beautiful, beautiful. Let's see. Oh, and then the poker. I have to mention the poker sin. I don't know why some guy was in this pot on a board holding 7 deuce. Oh, sure. Maybe you're hoping to hit your gutter, but someone's going to have to explain reverse implied odds to this guy. That whole thing for me was just like manna from heaven. I was like, somebody knows poker. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, we both do, but yeah, Chris definitely wrote that one.
Reverse implied odds, man. Working that into a sin is just, That's glorious. Me ghoulies. Great sin. Great sin.
Oh no, me goodies.
God, man, and that's one thing. Boomerang is just freaking annoying, live action or animated.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Boomerang misses the guard. You missed, and he says, "Wait for it." And he's like, "Tantric boomeranging." It's so great. It's so great. It's just so great. Man, they are super lax with patient attire in this asylum. And,
oh God, yeah, Poison Ivy, man, that was weird.
And then I had a question. Who wrote the dishwasher sin?
What was it?
Black Spider takes this guy's tub of dishes in the dishwasher.
Oh, it's Chris.
Seems nonplussed. Is somebody trolling me with nonplussed now? We've had the nonplussed conversation, haven't we? We've had.
I don't think Chris listens to us, so probably.
Well, only Chris would know this because there's a way to interpret this sin where it's actually used correctly.
You're saying like we discussed it, like that word nonplussed, right?
Yes.
I kind of remember this. Maybe.
Because it is often used. In fact, nonplussed is the new literally. Because literally got used incorrectly so much that now there are two definitions of the word literally in the dictionary that are opposite of each other. That is the same as nonplussed now. There's the first definition, which has been correct for a long time, which is the idea of being surprised and confused at something. So if something shocks you, like the kind of, wait, what? That's being nonplussed. All right, that's what that word means. But people have taken it to mean unaffected because of that's just, they think that's what it sounds like. You know, like plus would be being affected and being nonplussed would be just like not affected. Those are opposite things, but now it apparently means both because there's a second definition in the dictionary because so many people used it incorrectly. So
yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, so I didn't know if he was using it because there's a way to interpret this in where maybe he's saying that the dishwasher was like confused and surprised, but it almost sounds like he's saying the dishwasher didn't notice. So one of those is quote unquote correct, and one of those is apparently also correct.
And that's been the last 5 minutes of our life.
That's right.
Hey, if you and Chris have this conversation, will you please do it in a private chat?
Okay.
I don't.
Sure. Yes.
I'm just kidding.
I'll just make sure I tag you on every line. Danae, what about you? What are some of your sins?
I wrote down 3 simple sins. The why didn't I quit when I was ahead, and the quote is, the sin is like, oh, I know this one. It's when I was a jar. Just making fun of all of the puns at the very beginning. I really enjoyed. My boner hasn't been this frightened since The Shape of Water. Mm-hmm. I don't know why. Boner jokes crack me up. I find them funny. And then I think it's weird that Joker has sex.
Yeah, that was probably my favorite. I had that one written down.
It's just such this offhanded comment that just comes out of nowhere.
Chris is awesome with those. I don't know how. I don't know what it is, but he's got that touch.
He's got that brain, man. His brain just does that stuff, and it's just so good.
Well, because he was probably like thinking. I mean, I don't know. I'm not gonna speak for him. My guess is like this is how I come to the simple ones sometimes, is because I'm trying to think of something a little more complex, and then it's just like, I'm just gonna write it like this, and you know. Mm-hmm. But I don't know. It feels like it comes easier to him for some reason. So,
Jonathan, anything else?
I liked even serial killers like comfort sometimes.
Yeah.
It would help me masturbate. I mean, understand better.
Mm-hmm.
Gus Freeing is always getting exploded.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I thought was great. Jeremy singing Jungle Love. And Jeremy doing the Super Friends narrator when he did the meanwhile, Batman sends his plane from the moon. Mm-hmm. He did a very good job there. And also, I should mention, I swear to God, I didn't even think about this when I mentioned Friday the 13th in our last conversation, but I just wanted to throw out that I got the outtake, wherever the red dot goes, ya bang. That is actually from Friday the 13th, part 6. And I have wanted to use that outtake for the longest time.
It's like bucket list stuff.
I finally got like a laser sighter scene where I could do it. I was so excited because that's the crazy. That actor, actually, I've heard, because I don't go to like horror conventions, but whenever that actor's at a horror convention, if he signs something for you, he signs it like that. He says, wherever the red dot goes, ya bang. So.
That's amazing. Nice way to check it off your bucket list, man.
Yeah.
Good job. All right, let's move into keeping tabs.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
Ha ha! Oh, jeez.
This is the most public yet of my many humiliations.
We're each going to talk about something about the process of doing what we do. Maybe some searches we had to do. We could talk about the new script process that happened this week. Although I think that would
Can
be
that
very
be mine?
Sure. I mean, if you want it, I think it might be very
because I don't
boring.
really have anything this week.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Rick
Go
and
ahead.
Rick and Morty is not one where I'm doing a lot of research.
Right.
You know, it's mostly just, you know, I don't know. I guess I did ask the internet a question just to see if there were threads out there, which was like, would Rick and Morty be up at 6 a.m.? Just to see if it had been discussed before.
Right.
I just found it really hard to believe everybody would be like straight up having a full-blown, fully prepared breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning.
No, it's good.
So,
It's good research. It's good research right there.
Have you had a fully prepared breakfast at 6 in the morning? Like,
Yes.
when was the last time that happened?
Yes, I have.
I mean, when?
No, I mean, I have, but like, I can't, but like, since I went to school, like, I can't even think of the last time.
I can't think of the last time I sat down with my family and everyone was fully dressed,
Man,
fully
this is
ready,
weird.
fully awake, fully...
My whole family is at the kitchen table at 5:30 every morning for bacon, eggs.
I'll tell you when.
Pancakes.
The last time it
Such a
happened was
liar.
when I didn't sleep the night before, and it was my meal
Right.
before crashing. That's
It will
the last
never
time.
happen in my household because my wife and daughter are not morning people. I wasn't either. I kind of had to become one because we had dogs at one point, so
Right.
somebody had to get up and let the dogs out. So-
Yeah, but that's different because this is like somebody getting up and everyone being completely fully prepared to have a conversation at the table if it was a Thanksgiving dinner at 6 a.m.
No, somebody at the very least, somebody would be like in PJs or something, you know.
Oh, you know what? I also looked up, and this didn't make it into the script, but I also looked up how long it takes the average birthday candle to
melt down.
to melt. Because, and I was trying to write it, and it didn't work out. But the birthday candle that is put in the pancake pile does not ever diminish. And I always remember my birthday candles, they go pretty quick.
Yeah, they go fast.
Super cheap wax, it doesn't stick
Yeah.
around. So my sin was going to be something about by the time that he gets back to his pancakes, it's going to have a pile of wax on it, or, wow, this is a really amazing candle. Just something to try to point out that the candle wasn't melting. And I got mad enough at the sin that I personally killed it rather than bringing it to the table for others to try to resurrect. Now I realize I maybe have made a mistake. I should have done it.
You've got stuff. See, you've got keeping tabs.
You got things and stuff.
We'll just save our really exciting conversation about our script writing process
And how
for another
Danae
time.
hates the comments.
Yeah. The script writing process. The
I do want to
crazy.
talk, I'm really curious what that is, though. What your problem with that is, but we can talk about that
Oh, I will go off, and then I will. And then
that's what I'm saying. I'm really curious because they seem pretty. They are what they are. I don't know.
I'll go off about it, and then I'll be like, okay, maybe it's not a big deal, and then I realize I'm still mad about it. So there's something truly there. I just don't know what it is yet.
Believe me, everybody has those things that just bug them.
It's not change.
Yeah.
It's just that fucking little triangle, man. Anyway, sorry guys. Sorry. Go on.
Jonathan, what do you got?
So there's a whole bit, and we send a little bit of it, but I didn't get too much into it because I didn't really find much on the research. But there's a bit in at Arkham, the Batman movie, where Killer Frost and King Shark are like flirting. Mm-hmm. And then so I actually typed, and the reason I'm bringing this up because I thought this was funny. When I Googled it, I Googled have King Shark and Killer Frost ever hooked up? Was what I Googled.
Nice.
Because I was curious if there was actually like a past to this. And I found some interesting fan fiction. But
You're sure you
apparently this was really the only movie. And apparently I couldn't even really find if they had really been like together in stuff that much. They might have been in like a Suicide Squad comic or something, but there wasn't a whole lot on it. I did find out though that King Shark was actually originally a Superboy villain, which is just funny because I don't know. Superboy has always been kind of a silly thing to me, but whatever. But he was also in. I forgot that him and Killer Frost both have been on the Flash, the TV show. King Shark's been on as a villain at least once, if not more. And then Killer Frost, of course, is Danielle Panabaker. That's like her, I guess, power, alter ego, what have you. I'm a couple seasons behind on that show, so I don't know if that's still a thing, but I know that has in the past. So I just ended up finding out stuff like that, but I couldn't actually find out if they had ever hooked up. I did, however, find out Killer Frost and the Penguin apparently had a little thing in a one of those like kind of almost like a what if story like that took place in World War II, which was disturbing. But you know. Well, I just looked up comic book characters having sex. It's perfectly normal week.
It's a normal thing
at the Watkins household.
I mentioned my keeping tabs was about turning those adamant no's into miracle yeses, Sin from Happy Feet. We had quite the discussion, as we are wont to do, about the pluralization of the word no and yes. And it just never looked right to either one of us the way we wanted to do it. And so I did a lot of research on what is the accepted way to pluralize the word no or yes. And turns out there is no accepted way. Everybody has a different opinion on this, but NOS looks like nos to me. It doesn't look like nose. But you also can't do like NOES because then it just looks like a word I don't understand. You know, it's like no S or something. So what I found is that I like, in the way that I'm going to do it from here on out, even if it's not this way in the script, is using quotation marks around words when you need to pluralize them. So, and we do this actually when we talk about, here's a nice little behind the scenes, when the narrator laughs, we will count the number of ha's. But you can't write HAS because that's has. And so you put quote around ha, then with the S after it. I like that. I think that's the way to pluralize words, is to do like quotation marks around no, and then the letter S would be nose. I think I like that better. But anyhow.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that, because yeses, you would just add an ES, right? That looks normal.
I think yes. Yeah, I mean, it's a little easier on the eyes, but I think I would still do yeses the same way. But yeah. Everybody's different, so.
Yeah, or you would just say, that's weird. I never thought about it. I guess maybe I've never written it plural.
Because you're talking about the word as the concept, not the symbol of like when you say cars, that's a symbolic thing of multiple things, cars, but when you're talking about the word itself, it just becomes something different. Weird. Yeah. So anyhow, wanted to bring that up because I thought it was interesting. But now we can move on to the comment section.
Just like there's two definitions for literally.
Literally.
There's literally two definitions for literally.
And they're literally opposites.
Yep.
The human language makes sense. I mean, English makes sense.
The human language.
Oh, wow. I'm tired and hungry.
I want to know what you're thinking.
I appreciate your honesty. You're a real straight shooter.
You are the ones who are the ball lickers.
What are some of the comments you guys liked from this week? Can be from anything. Discord, Twitter, the videos. You know what? I'll start because you mentioned the penguin having a sexual relationship. And
that reminded me, literally,
of a comment from the Happy Feet 2 video that says, this man said PILF in a sentence like it was a normal occurrence and it wasn't a violation.
I meant to bring that up. I thought that, I'm glad you had this comment, because I did think that was just like, did they just say PILF?
That's right.
That was in a recent script.
Yeah, Happy Feet 2 script, in fact.
No, I mean... That was in another script recently, I thought.
Oh, interesting.
That someone said PILF, and then it was like we pointed it out, but when I searched through our archives for it, I couldn't find it, so maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know what else it would have been about. Was it about what? Professors? Psychiatrists?
No, I just
puppets?
remember
Maybe it was about puppets.
Word that we were like, I don't remember now.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Anyhow, so I wanted to mention that one. Danae, what did you have?
I went to our CinemaSins Podcast Network channel for the episode last week, and Telling Everyone says, I've been the guy to go to someone. I think they meant to say I've never been the guy, but they said I've been the guy to go to someone's Patreon. But if you do live streaming of this podcast, hurry up and take my money.
Ooh.
And I wrote,
challenge
really?
accepted.
Haha, yay. Okay, I'm going to have to try to make this happen. And then Mitch replies, Woohoo! Danae replied to me, I am extra special. So telling everyone is who posted it, but then Mitch replied. So I got extra confused. And I just wrote, I'm also currently eating tater tots and I'm willing to share. So I don't know what's going to happen in this comment thread over the next week, but I'll be watching it closely because telling everyone and Mitch may be the same person. This is a conspiracy theory. I don't know. This is a big deal, guys. But anyways, I did appreciate the feedback about us doing some type of a live element for the show.
Well, we know for a fact it's going to happen. We know for a fact.
Well, I mean, consistently, Aaron.
Right. Yeah, totally. And we should talk about Sin Week at some point. But Jonathan, let's hear your comment first.
Well, we actually already kind of discussed. It was from Batman Arkham Asylum, not Arkham Assault on Arkham. Good God. It was the Jason Pratt said, today I learned that Jeremy doesn't know what third shift is. So that was the one.
With the lunch. Yeah.
I just thought that was funny.
Well, since we kind of already talked about that one, I'll throw in another one because I did want to talk about Charted Studios said also from the Happy Feet 2 video, the one sin that was just puns means someone on the writing team is pissed at Aaron. And I just thought that was funny that because of how much I love puns. Now, I bring this up to say it's really interesting that you would pick that one out because I wrote a sin for that one as well, where it was just puns, and it was a sin removal. And because the pun is Goodbye Krill World, and it is a great pun. That is a fabulous pun. And so my sin was basically like laughter, narrator laughs, and then, okay, that one got me. But no, Barrett chose the same opportunity to be like, puns suck, and to sin puns. So there you go, a nice little behind the scenes.
Puns is a pretty old running one, though, right? Like I think
it is. Oh,
I feel
for
like
sure.
That was before our time.
And that's part of the beauty is that we sin puns and then have 30 of them in the the video itself. So
absolutely,
yeah, it's one of those things.
That's how it works.
All right, let's move into Beyond the Sins.
To infinity and beyond.
Somewhere beyond my wild history.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Before we get into Beyond the Sins, mention Sin Week. It's coming up. We have decided on the week of March 22nd through the 26th, we will be doing Sin Week. It will be online only this year. We put it off as long as we could and just decided we needed to do an online version. But some exciting things are going to be happening, so you're definitely going to want to be a Sin Club member here coming up soon because we're going to be doing.
Maybe I'll take off the pop filter so you can see me now.
No, you're going to Wilson.
No,
it's going to be total Wilson.
Everyone needs to see you Wilsoning. It needs to happen.
That's right. If you want any more information on Sin Week, there is a post pinned at the Sin Club membership page at Patreon. So if you go to patreon.com/CinemaSins, the very first post pinned there will be about the information for Sin Week. So you can check that out there.
You are a new fan of CinemaSins in general, just super quickly, Sin Week is when we release multiple videos throughout the week, and then we usually have had some sort of in-person gathering amongst fans, but we're not going to be doing that this year. So you're going to be having 3 extra videos that week, and then more details will come about what we're going to be able to do in addition to those.
Some live streaming is going to happen. It's going to be fun.
I think aren't we doing as we usually did? What we always did all the videos, but it was usually only 2 or 3 days of us in person. But now it's going to be every day, right? Or
it's
5 days.
I think 4 of the 5. I think Monday through Thursday is the plan.
Monday through Thursday.
We will have a live stream of some sort, podcast recordings, different kind of fun things, details to come. But yeah, you can kind of check out what we're thinking at the membership page at patreon.com/CinemaSins. So wanted to kind of give you guys a heads up on that. What else from pop culture have you guys been checking out? Danae, why don't you start?
Well, my friend Aaron recommended a video to me and Iris, and we watched it.
Oh,
Happy Feet 2?
No. Thank you for the mention for Burrow, which is a short Pixar. It's a specific, is it a subset of Pixar that
You know
makes
what?
those?
I'm glad you brought this up because today they actually launched. So it's called Spark Shorts on Disney Plus, and this is what kind of the Disney Pixar shorts have turned to. They're not doing them on the movies anymore. They're doing them on Disney Plus as Spark Shorts, but they also just released something else just today that is more of more stories from the Pixar universes in short films. Like there's a Toy Story one, there's an Incredibles one, there's a Finding Nemo one.
So is that the Pixar Popcorn?
Popcorn, that's what it's called. Yeah, Pixar Popcorn. They just launched as well. So that might be something you guys are interested in too.
And you should also watch Bao.
Yeah. Bao's great.
So Burrow is adorable and super great and wonderful. And I think the reason that I'm loving it so much is because Iris loves it so much. Of course, that changes pretty much everything when you have a 3-year-old, well, she's nearing 4 now, who is squealing with delight beside you, cracking up, belly laughing. You know what I mean? Like that really changes the enjoyment when you can just see it through somebody else's eyes who's super loving it. But what was really fun is also the moment we had just built a fort in the living room. I pushed up our love seat against the couch to where like all of the cushions were touching face to face, so that, and then we strung up this really big heavy blanket, and I got the brooms and I made them, like what we're gonna the pillars that would hold up this blanket. I had like twine to tie the blanket to the end of the broom poles, and there was like windows and all this stuff going on, and then we climbed into it together and peeked out over the edge of the love seat across the living room and watched Burrow as we were. So
as you're burrowed.
The bunny is burrowing. We are also burrowed. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Just like you said it would be, Aaron. And it's just super, super cute. And it's really fast. It's only like 6.5 minutes. There's no dialogue, which made a really interesting conversation. She asked many times, like, why are they talking? And I said, well, we can communicate without words sometimes. What do you think the bunny is saying in this scene? And I'd pause it so we could talk about it. Now, we already watched it like 6 times in a row.
Yeah.
So I was able to pause it without her freaking out because she enjoys it so much. But now we're kind of where we're pausing it and talking more about the creation of stories, because she's really into digesting this thing in all of its like parts and pieces. And it's a really, really cute and really well done. And I love the animation style, and a great story about community, even for those of us who don't always like to be around people. So super fun message, and a really quick one called Burrow on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Who doesn't like to be around people? That's crazy.
That's weird. That's so weird. Those people. Jonathan, why don't you go next?
Well, that was a really good parallel to mine, because much like, a lovely, short film for a kid, I'm going to talk about Servant, which is
nice.
Pretty much the same thing.
Yeah, of course.
Go from, I don't know. But anyways, so Servant just started its 2nd season on Apple TV Plus. This is M. Night Shyamalan. However, it is not M. Night Shyamalan did not create this. He's directed a few episodes, but I do feel like you should say that, because he did not write this, or although there is a Shyamalan that wrote a few episodes. I don't know if that's someone, I assume that's someone related to him in some way, but I don't know. I didn't look that far into it, but it was actually created by Tony, I'm going to go with Bags Gallop. I have no idea.
Works for me.
Anyway, so I watched the first season when it aired last year on Apple TV Plus. It was the first show on Apple TV Plus I watched, because I'm a huge Shyamalan fan, and it looked really interesting. And I guess if anybody who hasn't seen it, the basic premise is that in the first episode, there's a couple played by Toby Kebbell and Lauren Ambrose, who are both great in this series. And they have recently, I don't know, well, you don't really know at the time. I guess I'll just talk about what happens in the first episode. They have lost a child, and the mother, played by Lauren Ambrose, is not able to cope with this. So I guess a therapist or someone has suggested that they use, I don't even know what they call it, but it's basically a doll.
Mm-hmm.
It has a little more lifelike qualities to it, but it's essentially a doll, so she can try to work towards accepting what happened. And they even go so far as to hire a nanny. And Toby Kebbell is well aware that the doll is fake, but Lauren Ambrose is not. She's still dealing with everything. And then by the end of the first episode, they all of a sudden have a real live baby. And then the show goes from there.
Yeah.
So it's a really interesting mystery, because you don't know where it's going. You don't know what this nanny has to do with it, if she has anything to do with it. Toby Kebbell and Lauren Ambrose are really good in it. Rupert Grint from Harry Potter, in one of the first grown-up roles I've ever seen him in, plays Lauren Ambrose. It is Lauren Ambrose, right? I'm saying that right, aren't I?
I believe so.
It's her. She was from 6 Feet Under, but he plays her brother Yeah, Lauren Ambrose. And he's actually quite good. I mean, he was good on Harry Potter, but still, I just hadn't seen him. I hadn't seen him as anybody else, so it was kind of interesting. But I really enjoyed it. And then the finale happened, and I was a little confused.
I hated the finale. I hated that finale.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. The main reason I was it was a couple things. I guess I just assumed I knew there was going to be a second season, but I don't know. I felt like the story was going to wrap up more. I wasn't sure if that was an ending, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
And because it kind of almost felt like that was the end of that story. And I guess this isn't a spoiler because the second season has already started. And Lauren Ambrose and Toby Kebbell are still on the show. So they are continuing that story. So with that in mind, I had rewatched the first 10 I had rewatched the first season before I saw the season premiere of the second season. Mm-hmm. It played a lot better.
Did it?
Yeah. Just because, like I said, I kind of know that's a cliffhanger, right? That's a season finale as opposed
I guess you're right.
to a story wrap. It's still not great, but it played better. I don't know that I love this show, but I like it quite a bit. It's very different. Like I can't think of another show like it, which is interesting. And it's like I said, I really like the performances. I really like that I have no idea where the story is going. I've only seen the season premiere. I haven't seen today's episode. Have you seen more than have you seen the whole season, Aaron? The second season?
I haven't. I have access to the whole second season. I just haven't sat down to watch it.
So you haven't seen any of them yet?
No,
okay.
My Apple. It's
gotcha.
Complicated to explain, but I have to watch it a certain way, and so it's more efforting to watch the Apple TV Plus stuff.
Totally get it. If you do get around to watching it, I'm really curious what you think, because the first episode was really interesting, and I was like, how are they going to continue the storyline? After the first season, but there's something at the very end of the first episode that they do with specifically the Toby Kebbell character that really interested me. So I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. But it's a solid recommend. Like I said, I don't quite love it yet. And maybe when it's all said and done, maybe I will. But I'm definitely very intrigued by it, and I will continue to watch. I think Shyamalan mentioned recently it wouldn't go more than 4 seasons. But I don't know if that means they have 4 seasons mapped out or that's just the idea they have in their head.
Right.
Because I don't even know if it's been renewed for a third. So I don't know. But I guess it's kind of popular, and it does kind of suck because it is limited. Like I think the only way you can watch it at all is Apple TV Plus. Like I don't even know that you can purchase the first season on digital or anything. I think you have to have the subscription.
Yeah.
They did say they extended their trial though to through July. If you're buying new Apple products and whatnot.
Nice.
But yeah.
Cool.
So there you go.
Yeah, I will check that out at some point for sure. I enjoyed the first season enough, was intrigued by the first season enough that even though I didn't like the finale, that I'm interested to see where it goes. I'm going to talk about a movie called Our Friend that came out the day we record this. It'll been out a little bit for you, and I actually don't remember where. I think it may just be VOD. So you may have to purchase it. But anyways, it's called Our Friend, and I had a chance to see this last week, and it stars Dakota Johnson and Casey Affleck as a couple who are going through the trauma of a cancer diagnosis. And
you guys are watching some heavy shit. Jeez.
For some of us, Danae, and this isn't no judging, and there's no judging, but for some of us, processing through emotions via storytelling is a positive experience.
No, you just stuff those emotions down.
I will say,
deep.
Servant gets into more thriller territory and stuff like that.
Yeah. This is very much a human drama, and it's based on a true story.
Can I tell you something before you go on?
Sure.
I just took a really big swig of my coffee, and it was chunky, and then I remembered that it's because I dipped a donut in it earlier.
Oh.
So I had a really wide range of emotions. Yes. And basically what I'm saying is I wasn't listening to anything you were saying in the last 40 seconds because I was processing some real shit.
Oh my God, that would terrify me.
That's right. The good news is of all the things it could have been, we're very thankful that donut turned out to be the answer.
Alienation milk.
Sorry, carry on. Talk about your emotional processing.
Yeah, no, this is a true story from a writer whose wife was diagnosed with cancer, and they had a common friend come live with them. Our friend is, that's in reference, the title's in reference to that friend, played by Jason. I almost said Seagal, but it's Segel. It's Jason Segel, right? I don't know, my brain just did a weird thing. Steven Seagal, Jason Segel. And this movie is, boy, it's difficult to talk about because on a dramatic character acting emotion level, it's really good. Like, it's powerful. I love the theme, the message, the idea of friendship, the idea of what it means to be a great friend to somebody, the idea of what it means to go through the trauma of knowing somebody is dying. And just like, it really addresses those things in some powerful ways that I hadn't seen before. But the other side of this coin is they choose to do this in a non-linear storytelling way. And if there is one thing that I've become really annoyed by in storytelling recently, it's the bet you're wondering how I got here cliche. The idea of starting somewhere else in the story and then finding your way, there throughout. Now, this movie adds to the confusion by just jumping around the story like it's in a pinball machine. Like, you're going from, 2006 to 2010, back to 95, back to, like, it's all over the place. And it does it without purpose. That's the most annoying part of it for me, is it's like, if I understood, like, you were trying to build a certain type of tension, you were trying to build the information in relevant ways for the story, like, then it makes a little more sense for me. But you're just doing it just because that's a thing you're doing, and you're confusing me for no purpose whatsoever. And so I really got annoyed at this movie that otherwise I think I would have enjoyed. If this had just been a straightforward story, I think I would have really enjoyed this. But yeah, the nonlinear thing in this was really confusing to me. I don't think it was well executed or purposeful. So that's my caveat.
This is Gabriella Cowperthwaite that directed it. She did the Blackfish documentary, which is
correct.
Holy crap, that's a great documentary. Although very sad, but yeah, I remember you sharing this Letterboxd review with us.
Yeah, I did a Letterboxd review where I reviewed the film out of order. So yeah, you can.
By the way, I checked on this. It's on, I guess they're calling it PVOD, which means it's like the $19.99 rental fee, but it's on like Amazon Vudu. It sounds like you're not saying it's probably worth $19.99 though, but well, if it's a family, your whole family's watching it, but it didn't really sound like a family movie.
No, I'd wait for this one to be available on streaming or somewhere else. It could just be I let something get in my brain and I got annoyed by a good movie. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the general response to this. I guess I could look up its Rotten Tomatoes pretty easily and kind of figure it out. It looks like it's 80% on Rotten Tomatoes. So apparently most critics are enjoying it overall. 7.1 on IMDb, 3.4 on Letterboxd. 86% of Google users like the movie. So apparently people are enjoying it, and maybe I just got distracted by something that's really annoying to me, and it impacted the movie. Because like I said, otherwise, there's some good stuff going on here.
Well, it's just like sometimes it's just hard to know, like, why are you doing your narrative this way, where, it just doesn't make sense. And why, if the movie would have worked just as well, straightforward. Yeah, I don't know. I know what you're saying. I know it feels more gimmicky than anything else sometimes. And
right. If you do it without purpose, it's gimmicky. Yeah.
Post Pulp Fiction, you had a lot of those Tarantino-esque style movies that other directors were making, and they were doing, but they didn't know how to do it the way he did, right? And make it interesting. And so I don't know. I know what you're saying. I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. Anyhow, it's called Our Friend, and you can check it out wherever fine movies are sold, which is not that's not a joke. That is today. That is how movies are processed today.
I saw all those. They've announced a bunch of schedule moves this week.
Some stuff. I think the Bond movie got pushed back again. Some other stuff got pushed.
Jared Leto is going to be like in his 70s, showing his grandkids Morbius by the time it actually comes on a movie screen.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think you're wrong. I do not think you're wrong. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Behind the Sins this week. Don't forget to make sure you're subscribed. Go ahead and leave a comment or rating as well. If you've got anything you want to send us, you can mail it to us. P.O. Box 881, Republic, Missouri 65738. You can hang out with us on Twitter as well. I'm at Aaron Dicer. She is at Danae Says.
DENEESAYS.
And he is at Sam Loomis 13. So for Jonathan Watkins, Danae Hughes, a Phil Collins drum solo, and myself, we will see you next week.
Happy National Corn Chip Day!
Thanks for listening. Send any feedback to bts@cinemasins.com. And be sure to subscribe, rate, and comment. Find more ways to connect by visiting cinemasins.com/BTS.
Okay. Let's see. Communication. Oh yeah, that's coming through my Logitech. I don't want that.
I want these.
Oh, so much better.
Hello.
Oh.
I do not know why skin does what skin does. I mean,
this is the best start to a conversation all week. I cannot wait to see where this goes.
No, okay, back up. I do understand why skin does. I studied it briefly in school.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know, like every once in a while, it's just like, oh, I've decided to put a bump here.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about pimples. I'm just talking about like irritation.
Yeah.
And the problem is once you get one, like I've got one right on my sternum, on the very top, like just below my clavicle, right on my sternum. And there's just like this little one. And because it's just like, oh, I've decided to be a bump now. Like I touch it and it kind of itches a little bit. And so I can't leave it alone, which means it gets irritated.
Mm.
And that's what I don't understand about skin. Like, why doesn't it just back down underneath?
You're asking me?
This is a question for
I am not, as rumor may have indicated, a dermatologist. So
I don't know what to do. I've tried putting clothes on it and everything.
Well, you'll be happy to know we started today's conversation with a discussion of the large bumps on Danae's chest.
Yeah, buddy. I got those. I'm lotioning it. It should be fine.
Tell me more about that.
Did you just did you just say
I said tell me more about that. I was joking, obviously.
That's so funny.
It puts the lotion on its skin.
If you want to see dry skin, you see the bottom of my feet. In fact, don't, because it's disgusting.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I mean, I won't. If you need to show them to me, that's okay.
No.
I will be a friend, but
Nope.
but no, I'm good without.
Hey, Aaron, I need you to meet me on a friend level right now. I need to show you my foot.
Yeah, check out the dryness of the bottom of my feet.
Man, I'll never forget so massage therapy school, you're touching feet, you know?
Mm-hmm. Well, of course.
And so I've seen some feet in my day.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
I mean, their feet I'll never forget. Massage is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely, there's parts of it that I really miss. And then there's some things I don't miss at all.
And which category do the feet go in?
They're on that more glad I don't have to category.
I assumed.
It's not the worst thing, but it can be. It's one of those that just, it's a slippery slope.
I mean, I would think that would probably, on a regular basis, would be the worst.
Well, maybe aromas might be.
Aromas is definitely up there.
Like physical. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
The body relaxes during a massage. I imagine you have experienced. No?
We're skipping.
Something else?
It's for Jonathan's mental health. We need to skip.
Because I don't want to accidentally get a boner, and I don't want to accidentally shit myself. So
okay, no one's ever shit themselves on my table. Let's just be clear.
Pauly Shore.
Pauly Shore. Oh my God. Wow, you're going really far back.
Yeah, all of 20 years. 25 years. Wow, yeah, I am. What did he say? The weasel? Is that what he said? Is that what he said?
Very nicely done, Jonathan.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so hip. Hold on. Let me talk like the kids do. I'm the weasel, Snoochie Boochie. He was doing this whole report thing, and I just remember one of the things he said was, the LOL suddenly turned into WTFs.
Nice. And then the LOLs suddenly turned to WTFs.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was so funny.
By the way, the famous popcorn GIF of Bill Hader eating popcorn like he's interested in something.
Yeah, that's he's doing
Keith Morrison in that.
Yeah. It is Keith Morrison. That is right. Yeah, because doesn't that sound like a singer or something when you say it that way?
No, that's Morrissey.
That's Jim Morrison or Morrissey. Yeah, one of those two.
You're thinking of the William Morris Talent Agency.
Yeah, I saw that when I set that to record. I was like, you can go on the DVR. I saw the first thing on there was like Real Housewives or something. I was like, oh, that's nice that he's going to see that. I was like,
no judgment.
I almost wanted to be like, my wife tapes that, not me.
No judgment at all.
Oh, that's true. You're a reality show person.
I like reality shows. I mean, I don't like those kind of reality shows.
I don't either.
But no judgment.
My wife, she only watches Atlanta.
I love that show. Donald Glover. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
I believe she's watched Atlanta too. But Real Housewives of Atlanta, she likes...
Oh, Real Housewives of Atlanta. That's a different show. I want to see the combination of those two shows. Yeah. That'd be amazing.
But yeah.
But cheese.
Oh, well, and now we've circled back to what I didn't like about massage.
I was gonna say we're stealing future show stuff because I'm here ready to talk about and I'm like, no, that's what this show is for in the future. It's like we have
Do you
stuff.
Like though, just curious.
I'm not gonna talk about it now. I'm gonna save it.
You can tell me if you like it.
I'm gonna say no, I can't.
I think it's weird that there's a where the guy is like talking about how he wants to though.
I'm not talking about it, Jonathan. You're not going to tempt me to talk about it.
Yeah, man. Gosh, leave the guy alone. He's already struggling. Leave him alone. Stop touching it. Stop.
So you've got is that movie bad?
Jonathan, what is this game you're playing right now?
Are you doing this on purpose?
No, I forgot. That was another question I had wanted to ask.
How did you forget? It was just the previous thing.
Like, I don't know how to include this in the outtakes because it gives away all the stuff we're sending, but it's so funny because it's just like...
You're killing us.
Yeah, I'm a Rian Johnson everything fan. Yeah, I think that dude is so talented. Yeah,
I've got to rewatch. What was that second movie he did? The Brothers.
Oh, actually, that's the one I haven't seen. I don't know
Brothers
why.
Brothers Bloom or something.
Oh, sorry. Was I just interrupting a great conversation?
You don't belch during a Rian Johnson conversation, Danae. How dare you? All right, let's move on. Excuse me.
That sounded fun. God damn.
Sorry, I've been gargling milk, apparently.